Scott Bauer, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, joins us now from the pits of the CME. And Scott, taking a look at oil prices, I mean, it was a trade that was under significant amount of pressure last week, oil closing down just around 8%. Today, a little bit of a rebound. Do you think it's fair to say that the sell-off that we saw last week might have been a bit overdone?
I certainly think it was. I think the rebound, if we call that today, and it was very slight, was some bottom fishers coming in. I think there was an overreaction last week to the numbers that we saw about the build. However, there is still this tremendous push and pull in the marketplace. The headwinds obviously are all due to what's going on with tariff talks, global demand issues. On the other side, we have the supply constraints. What's going on, as you just mentioned, in Iran, Venezuela, is OPEC, OPEC Plus. Are they going to adhere to the cutbacks that they've had, which, we'll get more clarity that on the next few weeks at the next OPEC meeting. So you've got this big push and pull right now.
Do you think that we'll see prices rise back above? I mean, we're not too far off of it right now, trading at $59.20 a barrel. Do you think we'll see back above $60 a barrel within the next couple of trading days?
I do. I really do. And I think that's going to close the gap a little bit between what we're seeing between West Texas and Brent. We were down to $6.5, $7 spread, widened out after the big drop in West Texas to almost $10 again. But no, I do think we're going to trade up above 60. And I think probably 61 is an area that, we're going to start to see supply and demand really meet and the price really settle in there.
For how long do you think it will settle in there? Because we were talking last week, and there were some calls that oil could be on the rise here and continue past even $65 in the not-too-distant future.
Well, I think there's going to be this volatility up until OPEC. But, based on the weather patterns we've had here, the tremendous storms that we've had, especially in the Oklahoma area with Cushing, that's really putting some, potential supply constraints coming on there. So I think that we're going to see that volatility. It's going to cause the price to rise up a little bit. I'm not so sure about 65. I think that's a far reach, but I think heading into those OPEC meetings, low to mid, 62 maybe, I think that's an area that we're going to settle in at.
What do you think it would take for OPEC to change its stance?
Wow, I don't think they want to change their stance. I don't see why they would at this point. I think they're doing just fine. I think that the scare that they had thought about 6 months, 9 months ago going ahead of the supply pullback, I think that they've been able to weather that. Lower amount of supply. They obviously were worried about the bottom line, but it really hasn't affected them. So I don't think that they're going to pull back at all. I don't expect them to.
Scott, switching gears here, I just want to get your thoughts on gold, because that's been a hot topic here amongst a lot of investors, just in terms of some investors are now seeing opportunity within gold as more of a safety play as these trade war, or I guess trade tensions you can call, between the U.S. and China continue. With President Trump's latest comments, it looks like that there's no end in sight. What do you see for the future of the price of gold?
I think it's under a lot of pressure, quite frankly. I mean, we finally saw gold catch a bit of a rally a few weeks back when it hit almost 1,300, and that was on, President Trump's news, 3 weeks ago or so, when he said that there were big tensions and he was pulling back some of the rhetoric here. But I think there's a lot of headwinds. I'd be really surprised to see a big rally, even as this prolongs, even as the tariff war prolongs 2, 3, 4 weeks and beyond that.
All right, Scott Bauer, thanks so much for joining me today.